hairstyle can be broken down into 5 steps. 1. Section your hair off. 2. Brush your hair. 3. Twist your hair. 4. Color your hair. And 5. Curl your hair. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I've already done step 1, I've sectioned my hair off. So now I'm going to brush through. The reason that I'm brushing through now is because once you have the pastel or the chalk in your hair, it's going to be very hard to brush. You can do it, but you should probably use a fine-tooth comb and be very gentle. So before you begin, make sure your hair is all the way brushed through. Now is the 3rd step. You're going to want to find a piece about 1 inch or a 1/2 inch thick. I'm going to start with a little baby piece, and you're going to want to twirl it. The reason you want to twirl your hair is because twirling it creates ridges and creates friction when you're using the pastel, so the pastel will come off a lot easier. If you try to just rub pastels down straight hair, it won't come off. So twist your hair and then select your color. I'm going to start with a teal color. Now, before I start, I should let you know that if you have blonde or really light hair like me, using blue or teal pastels, it'll come out nicely, but you have to remember when you wash it out, some of the blue pigment will fade and it will mix with the natural yellow pigment of blonde hair and create kind of a green color. So be aware that when you wash it out, it may give it a bit of a green tinge. If you're okay with that, that's fine. If not, then I would probably stick to pinks and purples, maybe oranges, things like that, that aren't going to contrast with the undertones of your hair. Anyways, I'm going to do some teal. So starting with a pastel, I'm just going to run it in a downward motion from about halfway down the piece of hair. The reason you only want to go in a downward motion is because if you were to go up and down, you're going to start dreading your hair. What's good about these square pieces of chalk is that, as you can see, you start to create grooves, which makes it a little easier. But you have to be careful that you don't go all the way through and break the chalk in half. So pick a new spot every now and again. Anyways, if you have a hair curler, you can use that. I don't own one, so I'm just going to use my Hanna titanium straightener to do the trick. To curl your hair with a straightener, clamp, twist under like this, and then wrap the hair around. And you're just going to want to drag down slowly. Now my straightener hasn't heated up yet, so it's not going to do the trick, but I just want to show you the motion that you're going to have to be using. Well, let's start to do a little bit of a curl. So, clamp, twist under, and wrap the piece of hair around the front. And drag down, holding this end. The reason you curl is because A, it gives it a really pretty effect with the little pieces of color, and B, the heat from the straightener will lock in some of the color. But because I'm not wetting my hair, the chalk is essentially just on the surface of my hair. So any type of combing or straightening will take off some of the chalk. I don't know if you can see, but it's already coming off on my straightener. So it will start to fade. If you want it to be brighter, you may have to repeat steps chalking through curling a few times. Oops. Twist under, wrap over, and pull down. And you can see it's starting to curl. So I'm just going to repeat that step a few times. Oh, crap, this stuff is really messy. I'm going to repeat this step a few times until this whole side of my hair is curled. Now I'm not going to color every single piece of my hair, so I'm just probably going to do about 5, maybe 4 pieces. And you want to make sure that when you're coloring, you're doing varying lengths, so you're not always at the same level. you want to have different levels of color. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more professional. You don't want it to look like you just took your hair and like dunked it in a vat of dye, which is also why you should do every other piece. Another tip, don't always pull just from the top of your hair. Make sure you get a little from the bottom as well. Again, variation, it just makes it look a little bit nicer. I'll be right back. I need to wash this off my face. So now I'm going to take a piece from the back of my hair, just so that the effect looks kind of random and a little bit more natural, or as natural as it can get when you're putting pink streaks in your hair. So for this one I'm going to do a gradient effect. That one I just did a straight teal. This one I'm going to fade from light pink to dark purple. So I'm going to start with a light pink chalk. So I've sectioned. Now I'm going to twist. And I'm going to start a little higher up this time. And I'm going to start to chalk. As you can see, where my hair gets darker, the chalk doesn't show up as well. That's why if you have dark hair, like dark brown or black hair, you should wet the chalk, or excuse me, not wet the chalk, wet the hair before you chalk so the pigment comes off a little bit better. Another trick you can try is if you have white pastel, putting that down as a base like you kind of would for primer on makeup. Anyway, so I'm starting with the lightest color, and I'm going to bring it all the way down to the tip. Just like in makeup, when you're doing a gradient, you want to start with the lightest color first and work to the darkest color. It just blends easier that way. So I've got a good base going on. Now I'm going to switch to my second color, which is magenta, and I'm going to start about a third of the way down. Just keep chalking. Okay. So I've got a nice magenta color. I don't know if you can see the gradient starting halfway down my head. And I'm going to finish using purple. And I'm just going to do that towards the bottom. So now you can kind of see the gradient effect, which is really pretty. And you can see my hands are covered. That's why you might want to wear gloves for this, but I don't care. It just washes right off with soap and water. But it won't wash off your clothes, so get pants and a t-shirt you don't care about. Okay. So when you're happy with your gradient, the next step is curling. So twist under, pull over, and drag down. You get a nice little curl, like that. Finally, you're going to want to pin it out of the way, like that. So you can see my two little curls so far. Okay, now that I've showed you the general technique, I'm just going to fast forward the next section of the video so that you can see how I do the rest of my hair, but it's the same stuff. So I've done all this and I think I'm going to stop there. I don't want to put too much color in my hair. Though I kind of like this crazy rainbow mohawk that I have going on. I feel like a My Little Pony. Anyways, I'm going to take my hair down, maybe curl the rest, and then I'll show you the final result. So this is the final result, my cotton candy rainbow colored hair. I hope you guys liked this tutorial and found it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at pigmentsandpalettes@gmail.com, and I will see you in my next tutorial. Have a good weekend, guys.